I drew my first breath in the city of Dublin on the 17th of January 1756 of humble, industrious and virtuous parents. I was the youngest of 11 children. My eldest brother sacrificed his life in defence of his country. He died in consequence of a wound which he received on board one of the king's ships. At the time of his death, I was only 5 years old, but I remember that my father was greatly afflicted at it, and more so when he found my inclination of mind was also towards the sea. Considering his situation, which, though reputable, was far from affluent, and the labour necessary to support his family, he was a man of much reading, which strong native powers of intellect had led him to digest and methodize. He was far from being unacquainted with seafaring matters. I well remember when I was a child walking with him down the North Wall. He would describe to me in the most easy and interesting manner a naval engagement, and by the most apt and familiar transition turn the discourse to the battles which were fighting between the English and the French. I am aware that my father's motive, while he amused me in these conversations, was to instruct. But he little imagined that in doing so, he was kindling a martial order in my breast, which might and ultimately did lead my hapless steps into the very dangers he would have wished me to shun, against which he would have guarded me with the fondest anxiety. At length, he began to perceive his error, for when he discovered my attention engrossed by these subjects, with tears in his eyes, he would say, "Oh, my dear child, I see your little breast is fired with this account. I only relate these things to inform your judgment. I have lost one fine boy already in fighting for his country. Surely you will never leave your father. You must stay with me and your mother and be our support and our comfort in our old days." Much as I loved my father, and deep as these affectionate speeches sunk in my mind, they had a tendency which he little imagined when he first used them. It was from these discourses of my father that an anxious desire was first raised in my mind for a seafaring life.